Friday, January 8th. There is the closing bell, guys, with the S&Ps finishing up over 21 points. Stocks continue to grind higher. I got a lot to go over today, so let's dive right in, break this market down, and then go over the top stocks of the day. Seeing a tighter range over the night session of about 25 points, stocks trended higher through the night. The 8:30 non-farms payroll number, however, was a 140K miss, but the market didn't seem to care. We move on through the day. We had some noise around 1 o'clock due to potentially removing Trump from office. However, the market shook it off and we're closing near all-time highs, and we're getting some bids in the final minutes of this close. Now, I'll come back to the SPX to discuss the expected move for next week, but let's move on over to the NASDAQ and see how it did. We take a look at the NASDAQ and it is putting in an all-time high right here at the close at 13.1K. Bigger picture here. This NASDAQ is looking mean and ready to climb higher. Now, when we look at our Big Five, we can see today that the Big Five was up 0.8%. So it was lagging our NASDAQ. However, it helped our S&Ps up over 20 points. Now, when we see names like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook down, when these names get going, look at this index. It's got a lot of room to go higher, and when it decides to break out, this market is going to soar. Now, the NASDAQ did very well today, but that was largely due to Tesla. Tesla today was up almost 8% on the day. This is truly amazing, and it now has passed Facebook's market cap, which is just mind-blowing. Let's cruise on over to the small caps and see how they did today. And we take a look at the Russell, and it's our only index down on the day. Ever so slightly down 3 points. However, it did make an all-time high in the night session. Now, when we look at some of the sectors across the board, well, we see consumer discretionary led the way today, up over 2%, but that's largely due to Tesla being in this sector. What else was up? Well, the software stocks put in an all-time high, up over 1.5%, and even technology hung in there, up 0.65%. Now, what was trending down today? Well, energy was about flat on the day. However, it closed down, as well as the financials, down about 0.16%. However, these are both elevated and they're trending the correct direction. It's just slowing down a bit. Do they pull back going into next week? It'll be something to keep an eye on. However, the worst performing sector of the day were the materials today, down over 0.5%. So we see our sectors mostly green. How did our advanced decline line do today? And we can see the AD line was about 60 advancing and 40 declining. Seeing some weight from energy and financials put a little stress on the S&P 100. However, this AD line is not negative, so it's not the best advanced decline line, but we're seeing strength from software and some technology stocks. That's enough to keep this market going higher. So with equities green for the most part, let's move on over to the bonds and see how they traded today. And we take a look at the bonds and they are down 0.4%. The bonds keep dipping lower. Some sizable volume coming in here. When are they going to find a bounce? When we look at the TNX, this 10-year treasury yield is now at 1.1%. This is something that's slowly inching higher, and it could cause a potential disruption to this marketplace. Remember, guys, too high too soon gives us a higher risk-free yield. High risk-free yield means getting out of some risky equities and into some guaranteed money. If you have millions and billions of dollars, getting 1.5–2% return on that is pretty enticing, if you ask me. But for the most part, nobody seems to want the bonds. They're breaking down. We're getting dumped left and right. When will they find a floor? The Federal Reserve is going to have a lot on their hands. Let's cruise on over and take a look at our volatility index. And we see today vol futures were down about 2%. Now, this is the January contract, so it isn't the best read. However, when we look at our VVIX, the VVIX was up 1.7%. We take a look at it on the day, seeing a nice bid around 1 o'clock. Faded as the day finished. However, we're finishing higher than where we started the day today. Now, what this tells me is traders are bidding up volatility at a later date in time. Not so much the January contracts, potentially the February's and the March contracts are getting some bids coming into it. Let's cruise on over to the dollar index and see how our commodities traded today. We see the dollar index is up about 0.25%. However, it's hanging on to that 90 handle ever so slightly. I don't know how long we can camp here. What tells me down is the most reasonable path. When we look at some commodities, we see today crude oil is up almost 3.5%, which is pretty impressive. Some big volume coming in here, and it's trending higher crude oil. For the most part, it was beat up earlier in the year, and it kind of consolidated for quite some time, and we're starting to peel higher. As for gold, gold took it hard today, down over $60. This was a move I was scratching my head all day. Why are the metals getting banged up? We even take a look at silver. Silver was down near 7% on the day. However, it put in a bottom and saw a very nice bounce getting walked up. This potentially could have shaken some weak hands out before an eruption higher. And then there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin today finished down, but up about 0.29% in the futures. We hit up to 42.7K. I'm expecting Bitcoin to consolidate here for probably today and into tomorrow, potentially Sunday, but my charts on TradingView are showing something in Sunday, maybe for a move. So we could consolidate potentially for 2 days before making some move, but for the most part, Bitcoin was down and the GBTC fund was down about 1.22%. Expect about $2,000 to $3,000 consolidation between 37 to 41K. You know, I expect Bitcoin to fluctuate in that price. That's some healthy consolidation. Now, Bitcoin is volatile, so that is normal for it to consolidate that wide of a range. Let's take a look at our SPX and discuss the expected move going into next week. So to find that expected move, we go over to the trade tab and we look 7 days out because that's for next Friday, January 15th. The options market is pricing in a $76.64 move. Call it about $77 up or $77 down. Let's draw these lines in and see where we look for next week. So here is our expected move for next week. Look for the upper edge to play around 3,900, a nice round number. Our lower edge is going to be around 37.45, call it around 37.50. Now these numbers aren't going to be to the T, but if we are to see some sell side activity on Monday, look for around this 37.50 level to play a nice bounce, almost like we saw this week. We saw us come down to the lower edge and peel off of it. We came just a hair shy of that upper edge. However, it was an efficient week of trade this week. So with a smaller range of 77 points, last week was 91 points. So we have 77 this week. What do you expect? When we're near all-time highs, you can't have these wide moves unless something, an event or some sort, is expected that week that could potentially cause a wider move. So look for 3,900 next week if we are to continue to climb higher to give it some resistance to slow us down. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. Now browsing my Twitter feed, I'm seeing Biden talking about these $2,000 stimulus checks. He's also mentioning a multiple $trillion stimulus package. More printing equals higher stock prices, equal higher commodity prices, which is why I was scratching my head today. Why are the metals getting banged up? It's so hard to short this market when you have all this going on. I know it makes sense for us to go down. However, unless some sort of black swan event like the coronavirus hits these markets again, every down day is going to be very short-lived. So let's move on and take a look at the top stocks of the day. So we go over to the scan tab, we hit scan, and it was a very, very small list today, and we see repeated names. Coming in at the number 3 stock of the day goes to Penn National Gaming. Today, Penn was up over 7% with the market cap of $14.5 billion. This was a stock that got as low as $3.75 in March, so it has been on an amazing tear. Now, what does Penn Gaming do? Well, it's an American operator of casinos and racetracks based in Wyoming, Pennsylvania. It operates 43 facilities in the United States and Canada and has a 36% stake in Barstool Sports. Now, I can't find any news on why it's up today. However, it is a gambling stock, and that is a topic that could be on the table for legalization at a national level. This would be huge for all gambling stocks across the board. Now, going into next week, we take a look at it on an expected move. What do we have here? Well, our upper edge is going to play about $100.37, and our lower edge is going to play around $87.13. So if momentum continues, look for that round 100 number to be breached, which would put an all-time high here in Penn Gaming. Now, if we do see some sell side activity, $87 could play a very nice bounce and a nice entry point if you're looking to buy this company. Coming in at the number 2 stock of the day, this was on the list yesterday, Tesla Inc. Today, Tesla was up 7.84% with a market cap of $834 billion. Tesla was a big reason why the NASDAQ performed so well today. It's more than Facebook, for crying out loud. That's just insane. Now, if you don't know what Tesla does, they make electric vehicles and they also do solar roofing. Now, Elon is just the talk of the town lately. Now, I don't know exactly what's carrying it higher today, and I saw Michael Burry, the main character in the movie The Big Short, who predicted that housing crisis, is saying enjoy it while it lasts, as he's been short since December, as I'm sure a lot of people have been. Now, going into next week, we throw Tesla on an expected move. And what are our boundaries? Well, we have 955 as our upper edge, which should slow it down. But if you look at this week, we blew through that upper edge and kept climbing, largely due to it is going to have a lot of boost from Biden coming in there with renewable energy deals that are going to be made. However, if Tesla does see some selling, look for about 804 to play a nice level of support, and it could potentially just squeeze back higher, and we could just break 955 and head to 1,000, for crying out loud. Tesla just does not want to slow down, and just looking at it on this chart, it's just tearing higher. It's absolutely insane. Tesla just doesn't know what down means. Coming in at the number one stock of the day, back-to-back days at number one, Plug Power Inc. Today, Plug was up again 13.7% with a market cap of $22.3 billion. This stock is on fire, guys. It's insane. Now, what does Plug do? Well, they design hydrogen fuel cells, and this is a renewable energy play. It's going to be the theme of 2021. It's seeing amazing sizzle, and there is an option trader that bet $1.1 million on Plug following the South Korean deal. So look at this volume coming in here on Plug. It's trending higher again from that news of that South Korean group investment of $1.5 billion. So the momentum is just remarkable here, guys. Going into next week, we throw it on an expected move, and let's see our levels. Well, the upper edge is going to play $59.60, call it around $60. The lower edge is going to play $47.95, call it $48. So if we do see some profit taking, look for 48 to play a role of support. However, with all this inflow of money coming into it, just look at this accumulation, 521. This is a very high number, very high volume, and a 2.7 sizzle. Just look for this stock to squeeze higher if we do see a fall to 48. Other than that, Plug Power is just powering higher. There you have it for the top stocks of the day. Did you get a chance to watch any of these tickers? Now, we had some turbulence in the market. However, there was a small list of top stocks. If not, what are some stocks you guys are looking at going into next week? I'd love to hear comments down below. And if you've watched this far, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. And if you're new for the first time, guys, I do this every single day. Show some love and hit the subscribe button. It will really make my day. Other than that, have any comments, questions, feedback, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. But on that note, I will see you next week. Take care. Peace!